Surviving a funeral, ginger style. I'm a veteran of funeral attendance. I wish this talent or experience had some practical application, like, for example, maybe I could stick it on my resume as a testament of my fortitude or ability to handle totes amounts of stress in fucked up situations. I mean, if some Valley girl can cite her experience as president of Tapakega Mega Sorority at some slack Division III college, then surely I can leverage my experience with death and funerals to my advantage. No? Okay, I digressed. Death and funerals are tricky, and like a lover, getting over the first one is the worst. They are even more cumbersome when you have an ungodly amount of fucking whack jobs in your bloodline. The best piece of wisdom I can give is this. Expect anything, including drug use, fistfights, theft, shattered vases, nudity, and car wrecks. Dear Ginger, how do I appropriately show my grief at a funeral? In an alternate reality, I think I'd make a great version of a dysfunctional white trash Dear Abby. Instead of answering lame-ass questions like, what's the appropriate gift for the 5th wedding anniversary of my boss's daughter? I'd dish out advice that could answer social conundrums such as, how do I tell my great uncle who has had too much bourbon not to kiss me on the mouth without pissing off his wife? Or, how do I replace my aunt's wine with Welch's grape juice without her noticing? When to keep composure. Even if you come from a backwoods hillbilly family, believe it or not, there are times one should retain their composure. For example, if your uncle is high on meth and in the process of withdrawing funds which were meant to cover funeral arrangements for more narcotics, turn a blind eye. Why? Because the point is to survive, and you don't want to add another funeral, yours, to your schedule. If you see your aunt rushing out of your grandmother's house minutes after her death with all the good scripts, look the other way. When hospice asks where they are to destroy them as mandated by state law, play dumb. When your aunt returns to the house higher than Keith Richards at a Burning Man festival, make sure to walk her around the house from time to time to slow down the body's reaction to an overdose. Again, you don't need to attend another funeral. When to act like an asshole. During the process of death and the subsequent funeral, there will be occasions when you need to act like a real son of a bitch. Why? Because with all the fuckery you'll see, you're going to need to vent. You're also going to encounter bigger assholes than you could ever anticipate. Even your sweet great-great-aunt might hurl a flower vase across the room. If you're the saner member of a family comprised of lunatics, your job will most likely entail manning the phones. It sucks. You're going to answer the same questions dozens of times, and you will need to fake appreciation for cliches like, oh, she's in a better place now, or we all saw this coming, at least she's not suffering anymore. Manning the phones is one of the worst jobs you're going to get stuck with, because inevitably a realtor is going to call. Yes, this is true. Some realtors act like fucking mosquitoes at a summer camp for hemophiliacs and cold call grieving families. They must have a coroner's number on speed dial because within hours of a death, they will call the house to offer their services. This is your chance to let out the rage without compromising your survival. I recommend saying something like this. Look, bitch, everyone knows a realtor. I think my second cousin is a goddamn realtor. What the fuck's wrong with you? Do you just salivate when you read the obits? Please, feel free to suck my metaphorical dick. Take advantage of the outlets for rage when you can. For example, when my grandmother died, I remember sitting alone in the back of the chapel after viewing her corpse for the first time. During my private moment of grief, an elderly woman walked out of the viewing room exclaiming, "Oh God, that lipstick on her is hideous. She looks awful," right after she took notice of my uncontrollable sobbing. How did I respond? Like any pedigree-less redhead would, I yelled, "Well, what'd you expect? This ain't a fucking beauty pageant." Don't forget the shotgun. In Bizarro World, sometimes you may need to take a firearm to the funeral home. A distant cousin of mine was treated like shit his entire life. He was the black sheep of the family and the outcast of his hometown in Appalachia. When his father passed away, suddenly everyone was kissing his ass in an attempt to leech off his meager inheritance. It reached a boiling point when the funeral home was packed with people who were there for all the wrong reasons. As an act of defiance to the people who sullied his name for decades, my cousin entered the funeral home with a pump-action shotgun. He stood in front of his father's casket, cocked the shotgun, and screamed, "If you ain't a Franklin, get the fuck out!" I lovingly refer to this day as the day the holler hosted its first 5K.